What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday night to you and yours. Happy bye-week Wednesday to you and yours. Welcome to the All About the Birds weekly report here on the AAT Sports Network. I am Chip at Chip for the Birds, joined by Johnny U at Johnny U9322 and Mike at Rewind CEO. And we are joined tonight by the brilliant and amazing Rob Maaddi, who is an AP NFL writer and host of Faith on the Field. Rob, thank you for joining us tonight, my friend.
What's up, Chip, Johnny, and Mike? How you guys doing? It's been a while. Good to see you again.
It has been a while. Glad to have you.
Oh, hey, Rob. Nice to meet you.
We appreciate your time tonight. You know, it's the bye week, so you'd think we wouldn't have anything to talk about. And I know you being a Philadelphia Eagles person, I gotta ask you right away, how you feeling about Minshew mania? Or is this one overblown thing over and over again? Because I'm going to be honest, it's a little overblown. Minshew mania is back.
Is it?
No.
You know, I'm glad I'm not in Philly and I don't get to hear all of the craziness surrounding it. I think fans are smart enough to realize the situation for what it is, and that is that Gardner Minshew did a great job at his job. He stepped in as the backup against a bad team and led his team to victory. But Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback for the Eagles, doesn't deserve to lose his starting job because of one game in which Gardner Minshew was terrific. He was excellent. He did exactly what you needed him to do against the New York Jets. He was 20 of 25. He threw a couple touchdown passes, no turnovers, and they won that game. But Jalen Hurts, as soon as he's healthy, he's going to step in and be the starting quarterback. And I think most fans realize and understand that, and that's what the situation is right now, because he doesn't deserve to lose his job after that. And I'm excited to see what he can do over the last 4 weeks, because I've said this a few times this week on various interviews. The Eagles right now are in position to where if they don't make the playoffs, I think fans should be disappointed. They've set themselves up now at 6-7 with the schedule they have the rest of the way, and the way things have broken down in the NFC, to where they could very likely be tied for the 6th seed, not even the 7th, tied for the 6th spot going into Week 15, because you would think Washington should lose to Dallas, and Cincinnati's got a chance to beat San Francisco. And if that happens, they're all 6-7. You can have a bunch of teams at 6-7, and then you're going into Week 15 at 6-7 at home against Washington. Then you're home against the Giants. Got to win both of those games. Puts you at 8-7, and then you got two more games, the Washington game, and who knows what Dallas could be locked into a playoff seed by week 18, and maybe Dak Prescott doesn't play. So the Eagles should win 8-9 games, potentially run the table, and that should put them in the playoffs.
Now, the one question I want to ask you, and it kind of goes towards, Jalen Hurts, and it's kind of Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. How do you think they've progressed since their early struggles? Because there was a lot of noise early in the season. And again, with a first-year head coach trying to find his footing, it seems like he's kind of found what he's, what works with this team. What do you think the feeling is so far through 13 weeks with those two guys, especially Nick Sirianni?
Well, I think Nick came in here as a rookie head coach with obviously no experience in a head coach position, and he's learning on the fly, and it took him a little bit of time. The first game against Atlanta was phenomenal for everybody, came out of the gate, and they did a great job. But then it was a little bit of a learning curve, and he adjusted, and that was good to see. And the whole season turned, really, guys, and we all know this. The season turned when they committed to the run, and once they committed to the run, took some pressure off Jalen Hurts, did what they do best, and that is run the football, allow that offensive line to dominate, control the line of scrimmage, dominate their opponents. And then you saw, whether it was Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, whoever it is back there, they were able to run the football and have success doing it. And that's really turned this season around for the Eagles. And I give Nick Sirianni a lot of credit, because not everybody – some coaches come in and they want to run their system. They want to keep doing what they want to do. But he adjusted. He realized, hey, this isn't getting the job done right now. We're going to we're going to simplify things, and we're going to do what we do best. And it's worked for them. And Jalen Hurts, to me, up until the Giants game, he was steadily improving. He was looking like a guy who deserves every opportunity to go into 2022 as the starting quarterback. Doesn't mean he's the long-term answer. I don't think we're going to even know that, guys, in 4 games. I don't know what Jalen Hurts can do in the next 4 games to convince people that he should be the starter in 2022, but I don't think he's going to bottom out to where you're going to be absolutely convinced that he's not. So they're kind of in a still wait and see approach. And in the meantime, if you're winning football games and you can get to the postseason, it's a positive. You come out of this season and look at it as a huge win. I said to Sirianni the other day, do you feel you're ahead of schedule? And he didn't want to answer it and say, yeah, we are ahead of schedule. But I can't imagine anyone in that organization looks at what they've done this year and doesn't think they're ahead of schedule when they were 4-11-1 last year and entering a rebuilding season.
I think that it's interesting that you said the one thing about, winning kind of cures all. And there's been a lot of chatter because in the offseason, before they hired Nick Sirianni, they talked about, we want to pass the ball. It's an offensive league. And they found success with the running game. Is that as big of an issue in-house as people are making it, that, the ownership up top is upset of the run-to-pass ratio? Or is it still, we want to win football games, and whatever that looks like, that's what it looks like?
Yeah, I think that might get blown out a little bit of proportions at times. I would hope that Jeffrey Lurie is happy winning football games as the owner of an NFL team, no matter what it looks like. And I know a lot is made of, when you go back, I guess now it's 2+ years. It was that September 2019 Thursday night game against the Packers where they win the game and they ran the ball. Carson Wentz threw 3 touchdown passes. People forget that. He threw 3 touchdown passes in that game, but he was under 200 yards because they dominated. They ran for whether it was over 180, 190, 200, whatever it was, and they had a ton of success. They beat Aaron Rodgers on the road, 3 days rest, all of that. And then there was the infamous Tuesday conversation with Doug Peterson where Jeffrey Lurie wanted to know why they ran. And all of a sudden, Lurie's painted out to be a guy who hates the run and only wants to see his team pass to be successful. If that's the case, that's just horrible way to look at it. That you gotta realize wins are hard to come by in the NFL. No matter how you can get them, you go for it, and you get each week you get the W. Bill Belichick ran the ball. We talked about this right before the start. He ran the ball 3 times to get a W against Buffalo on Monday Night Football on the road. I don't think Robert Kraft cares how they got that win. It was a huge win for the team, for the organization. Put them in first place, not just in the AFC East, but in the whole AFC right now. They're the number 1 seed. And I think you got to do whatever it takes week in and week out to get that W that week. Now, that said, they do have to improve as a pocket passing team. And that's the knock against Jalen Hurts, and that's where he's got to get better.
Rob, I want to kind of flip the script here. I mean, I know you don't know me very well. I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. These 2 guys can attest to that. But I actually want to talk about the defense a little bit. Are you happy or
he's like, no, too much.
No, I mean,
too many compliments, too much praise for Jalen Hurts. Now, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Here's the thing. I understand he is what he is, and I was talking to Johnny about this. I think long term, Jalen Hurts is what we say Gardner Minshew is. I think he's going to be a competent backup in the NFL. I just don't think he has the passing potential to be what Nick Sirianni wants him to be. But my question for you is, we heard so much in the preseason from Jonathan Gannon. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're finally starting to see a little bit of pre-snap disguise and a little bit of post-snap disguise and some pressure and everything. But are you disappointed with how the defense has gone? And I understand he doesn't have all the guys he wanted there to fit his scheme, but should he be doing more with what he has? I mean, look at Nick Sirianni adjusting, doing what he needs to do to win. So are you happy or upset with what Jonathan Gannon's done so far?
I think a lot of it is a byproduct of the players that he has, but that means I don't want to say that and then excuse him as a defensive coordinator and say he can't be doing a better job. I think part of having success as an assistant coach or a head coach in the NFL is working with the talent that you have and maximizing their ability, no matter how good they are or what their ceiling is. And yeah, I think the defensive line was supposed to be the biggest strength of this football team. Losing Brandon Graham was huge. Fletcher Cox and a couple of guys, especially Fletch, they haven't played up to the back of their football cards, especially in Cox's case. And we know about the weaknesses in the linebacker position. So that's not saying it's an excuse for the way they've performed, but I would have liked to see more. Like Jonathan Gannon had said from the beginning, and we all approved of the hire when he said, hey, I don't have a scheme or a system. I want to adjust my defense and what we do based on the strengths of the players. And it took a while. They've had some ups and downs. And I think they've obviously, as the team has had success in the last 6 weeks, winning 4 of those games, they've played better, but they still have a long way to go defensively. And guys, they just need talent. And when you look at 3 first-round picks coming in next year, if they actually keep those picks, and we could talk a little bit more about that as we go here, if they do actually keep all 3 of them, you got to go defense heavy, meaning at least 2 of them on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that looking at this team, we're at a point now where, he mentioned they're ahead of schedule a little bit, which is, or you mentioned it, and he was kind of pushing back on it. At this point in the season, who is your biggest surprise of the team, and who is your biggest letdown so far?
Oh man, biggest surprise on the team. I would say Jalen. I wouldn't say biggest surprise, but I've been pleasantly surprised with how Jalen has played up until the Giants game, because I didn't know that he was even going to be capable of, at this point in the season, being in the conversation for next year. And I thought we'd probably get a better read on it, and that the answer might be a negative one. And here we are, opportunity for this team to make the playoffs, heading into the final 3-4 weeks of the season we still don't know if the quarterback is or isn't, but he was trending in an upward motion for most of the season. And he could very well be a playoff starting quarterback by the end of the year, and that to me is a positive for sure, because I wasn't sure about Jalen Hurts, and I think a lot of us weren't sure. I think a lot of people looked at it like he's just a placeholder until they go trade for somebody or they go draft somebody, which could still happen, and there's a lot to be determined. So that for sure is like the biggest surprise. Biggest disappointment, I guess Fletcher Cox. I think I got to look at Fletcher, just the way that I know there's the double teams, and you talk about that, and then you talk about some of the things that they'll defend him and say, well, he frees up other guys and all of it. Hey, Aaron Donald faces 3-4 guys. There's other players, J.J. Watt when he was healthy, T.J. Watt, all these guys, they're getting double teamed and triple teamed. They're still producing, and I think he's been a disappointment.
Yeah, and a lot of people would have said Jalen Reagor, but that's kind of like been overplayed a little bit, I would kind of say, in terms of disappointments.
I had no expectations for him.
That's true. Okay.
It's unfortunate, right? But after what we saw last year, like I looked at Jalen, I was already halfway there. Like I don't anticipate him turning much around, and he's not going to be Justin Jefferson. I feel bad for the kid because I think he's gone through some things. The pressure, and I had a conversation with him last year, right around this time, when they had the My Cause, My Cleats, and his cause was I guess it was a nonprofit, I believe it was, and I forget exactly which one, that had a lot to do with mental health and mental wellness and things like that, and I just saw a kid who might be going through that himself, but isn't ready to talk about it, and I don't want to put myself or speak for him. But I think the pressure of being a number 1 pick in Philly, with the way Justin Jefferson performed, being a Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro, I think that really affected Jalen Reagor, and I hope it doesn't affect his career long-term. And I would hope that he can turn it around at some point. But right now, I have zero expectations for him.
So, what would be your expectation in terms of for these last 4 games? If you want to kind of, where do you said 8-9 wins, but for you, what do you think with the games coming up, the end of this season? This is the final stretch run. What are your feeling on this final stretch run?
You got to win the next two. You're at home. You got Washington coming in, and then you got the bye and the extra week to prepare for them. Got to win that game. Got to beat the Giants. So now all of a sudden you're at 8-7, and then the final 2 weeks, if you're going into that at 8-7, I think they'll be already in a position where they're in the 6 or 7 seed. And whether you go on the road against Washington, get another win, it could come down to that. They could be the two teams battling for one of those spots, and whoever wins that game in the next to last game of the season or final week of the season, if Dallas is locked into, say, the 4 seed and really has nothing to play for, or they're locked into the 3 seed, whatever it is, then you should win that game. So I would be disappointed if they don't finish this year at 9-8, at worst 9-8.
Yeah, as long as they don't flex any of these games, that's all I care about. I just I wanted to go back to Jalen Reagor real quick. One thing I noticed, I keep meaning to bring this up in the preseason, watching one of the games when they had like the guys that were fighting to make the team. I saw Quez Watkins and Jalen Reagor standing together on the sideline, and Quez Watkins looked like he was telling Jalen Reagor about running routes. Like I saw him making the motions of like the route tree on his hands, and Jalen Reagor was standing there listening to him. So it's like, I didn't know how to kind of interpret that. Like, does Reagor not know what he's doing, or is he just, being a good teammate, talking to a teammate, and they're just bouncing stuff off like a coworker? I mean, I'm a huge Quez Watkins fan, so anytime Quez is on the team, I'm a fan of that. But
that would be problematic, man, if that were the case. You talk about two guys who came in here at the same time. I don't
One's
know
a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, I don't know what the situation was there, what the conversation was like. Sometimes they could be just going over. He could be reassuring himself, "Hey, I'm doing this." I would hope that Jalen Reagor is controlling the things he can control, and one of those is you better know the plays. And if you don't know the plays and you need help with that, then that could be part of the reason why he hasn't been as successful as he should be, and that would be extremely problematic.
So my final question, I want to loop back one more time to the quarterback of it all, because I saw you had a conversation with Russell Wilson about, and apparently, Russell Wilson has already booked his ticket to being the next Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, and apparently he was the only one who didn't know that. So this kind of goes with this kind of goes with Ryan's question here. What do you think of the Eagles? Are they looking for another quarterback this season? Are they going to Wilson? Are they going to Watson? Are they drafting? And when can we expect to buy our Russell Wilson's Eagles jerseys?
I don't think they even know yet what they want to do. I think they got to let the season play out. And Jalen Hurts has 4 more games to continue to prove what he can do. And it could be 5 games because he could lead them to the playoffs. Can you imagine he leads them to the playoffs and gets a win, and then all of a sudden you want to move on from him? Everybody wants to talk about Russell Wilson, and everybody has him coming to Philadelphia. And as I said a few weeks ago, I spoke to him right as soon as he was coming back from the injury. And it's not like he was going to tell me on air in an interview that he's going to go. But we had a longer conversation before and after and all that stuff. And I just got no indication that this is a guy who's going to want to come to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think there's other teams that are more attractive or would be more attractive to him. And that's a big if he leaves Seattle. And I'm not there yet. And I don't know that he's there yet. And I think Seattle would be stupid to trade Russell Wilson, who is 33. Wants to. He told me in that conversation, I want to play another decade. I want to play until I'm I want to have a 20-year career, which means he's going to go into the Tom Brady range, the 42, 43. And I think he could still be an elite quarterback for 4, 5, 6 more years. So why would they want to trade him and then rebuild around something unproven when you could try and take a year off and retool and rebuild and know that you still have a franchise quarterback in Russell Wilson? So one, I'm not convinced he's going anywhere. And if he is, I'd be surprised if it was Philly. I think it would be more likely New Orleans, Carolina, Pittsburgh, other teams that could be more attractive to him. That doesn't mean things won't change. And that's the same with Deshaun Watson. If his only option to play football again is in Philly, well, you better believe Deshaun Watson's going to want to play football. And if his only option, and the Texans said to him, the only team we can make a deal with is the Eagles, he's going to say, yeah, I'll go because he wants to play football. Here's something else that I may somebody just talk to me about this yesterday, and I dropped it in a different interview. I had a conversation with an AFC team executive, and he said everybody's talking about the Eagles trading up or trading these 3 first-round picks and maybe using them for a quarterback. What if they took another year to evaluate Jalen Hurts? And then as a backup plan, instead of using those 3 first-round picks, trading 2 of them out and accumulating more first-round picks in 2023 in case Jalen isn't the answer in 2022. And I thought about that, and I thought about the way Howie likes to wheel and deal, and sometimes he does like to move back and get more picks. And if you could turn a 1 from one of the 3 ones this year into a 1, a 2, and a 3 or something else, that's just something to think about. They could very well decide, hey, let's give Jalen another year. We don't want anybody in this draft class. We can get Rodgers. We might not be able to get Watson. We're not going to get Russell Wilson. Let's trade back and get some of these first-round picks in 2023 and then take our shot then if we get an opportunity to evaluate Jalen Hurts 1 more year. And I think that might not be the dumbest thing to do. I think that to me, it makes sense. I don't know that they're thinking this. This is just another team, a guy from another team who's kind of familiar with the Eagles and their thing. And he said to me, hey, they might be doing this. They think about that. And I was like, yeah, it's not bad.
Well, Rob, we know you got another interview to get to, so we do appreciate your time. If you want to talk about where people can find you and what you're doing, the time is yours. The floor is yours.
Appreciate it. Just at Rob Maaddi on Twitter, and I post everything that I'm doing there, whether it's Faith on the Field show. And I had an awesome run so far. We've been doing it for 5 years. We're on 8 radio stations across the country. That's my passion. Love doing that and everything else that I'm doing. So you can just follow me right there on Twitter, on social, wherever it is, and keep up that way. So appreciate you guys. Keep up those awesome videos, man. You guys, you do a phenomenal job. It's tremendous. I love it.
We thank you.
We appreciate you.
Happy belated birthday. You and Chip have the same birthday.
We have the same birthday, Rob. We're both December 5th babies.
Hey, happy birthday, Rob.
Thank you. I just know that T.O.'s like 2 days after us, man. So that's how I go. Me, T.O., my brother, and Jay-Z's like right there in between. So it's a good week.
It's an elite company. It's elite company.
On
for
that.
sure.
All right, well, we'll let you get going. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you. Have a good one.
See you, Rob.
You too. So, I mean, he's really positive about this. And we've said this before, let's be honest. They did not have – there was no reason for them to lose that Giants game. It was an embarrassment. They came back. They beat a Jets team that, that they were supposed to beat. But the fact of the matter is that if you look at the next couple of games, they should run the table at least up until Dallas. And who knows? I mean, we're kind of penciling Dallas in as the NFC East champs, but they haven't done what they needed to do yet.
And they usually don't.
They usually don't. We're in December now.
I do have a question, and I don't know, Chip, I don't know if you saw the tweet that I sent out today. It's everyone, when Gardner Minshew beats the Jets, everyone's like, bro, calm down, it's the Jets. But when Jalen Hurts beats the Lions, everyone's like, oh my God, did you see how good he looked? I pulled up the box score. In the Lions game, Hurts was 9 of 14 for 103 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He did run the ball 7 times for 71 yards.
My thing, there was a lot of people that said it's only the Lions. The Lions stink. I listened to a lot of people that said that, a couple other podcasts that talked about that, and they were talking about, well, it's the Lions. The Lions are an absolute dreadful football team. I think for more with Jalen Hurts, the Denver game was a little bit more of an eye-opening, hey, then that I understand. Good. But again, Gardner Minshew is a quarterback that you should be comfortable with if something were to happen to Jalen Hurts in this stretch run.
As we could see, we definitely can be, for sure.
Exactly. And that's the one thing that, you got to give Howie credit for making that deal to give up a 6th-round draft pick to get a player in Gardner Minshew that you never know. This offseason, he could wind up turning him over to a team, as like a bridge type of quarterback for any of these other teams that miss out on the big fish in the free agency or trade market, and you can get a higher draft pick than what you traded. So there's options that they're going to have come this offseason.
Wait, didn't they trade away then Joe Flacco for a 6th?
They sure did.
So they essentially traded Joe Flacco for Gardner Minshew.
Right. And look,
which is an upgrade in my opinion.
We have said on this show that each of these guys has things that they do really well or okay, and things that they, need to improve on. Gardner Minshew, while yes, beating the Jets, and while yes, looking very competent in the first half, the second half they committed more to the run game, so he didn't have to do as much.
True.
Gardner Minshew did not do anything that would make me go, wow, he is better than Jalen Hurts is at this moment. Is he better at reading what a defense gives him? Absolutely. But athleticism, leadership, when Herbig launched the ball to the moon on his first snap, who was the first guy that went over? It was Jalen Hurts.
He can't play center, by the way.
He cannot play center.
No. He cannot play center.
They got to do something else if Kelsey would ever miss time, or they need to see if Sua Opeta or who's the
Luke Juriga. I would say Luke Juriga would be the guy. My opinion there. But
Herbig is a guard. He is not a center. And those two, as far as I'm concerned, those two positions are not interchangeable, and we are seeing that right now.
I think it's interchangeable with Landon Dickerson or Isaac Salamalu because they have the skill set and they have a little bit more of the Kelsey body type where, okay, they're the pulling centers. That's what has made Kelsey so successful is that he pulls into the run game like a guard normally would. That's what he's innovated about the position. Herbig is more of your throwback, your Jamal Jackson's, your Hank Fraley body type. That's right. I broke out jiggles.
Ooh.
And that doesn't work with an offense of this speed in today's game. That's why when Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan was available, I was like, get him. Cesar Ruiz, is that the guy's name?
Yes, you're right. You're right.
I wanted him, and they have him playing guard wherever he ended up.
He's in New Orleans.
That's what I'm saying. So he would have been the ideal replacement, but he didn't end up here. Herbig is not the solution at backup center. But to my point, Jalen Hurts is the leader of this team. And you saw Gardner Minshew. Look, you knew that the Jets are terrible against the pass when it comes to tight ends. So you knew as a safety valve, Dallas Goedert was going to have a huge game. That's why, Mike, before we went on the air on Sunday, I made the choice to start Dallas Goedert, and he played huge for me in fantasy.
Also, I said I would have started Dawson Knox, but I didn't know that the weather was going to be that bad in New England, so...
He did drop a ball though. Wasn't that a touchdown or something? He did drop. So
Mac Jones lost me a few games too because I had some guys on buys, so all I had was Mac Jones, and it's not really his fault. So
it's not, but oh my God, what a game plan! But I think my point is this: Gardner Minshew, while a capable backup, and he came in and he did the job, did not do anything to take this job away from Jalen Hurts, who has done a good job of it when it is within his lane. When they ask him to drop back and pass the ball 40, 45 times, that's not what he does, and they need to stop doing that. They need to commit to the run game and allow Jalen Hurts to be the athletic quarterback he is until he gets his arm more at an NFL caliber.
So the other thing I did see, I know Jay Glazer said something about Hurts having a high ankle sprain, which usually is a 2 to 4 week recovery. So that's just it's something that keep an eye on this upcoming week because 75% Jalen Hurts, that's if he's not 75, 80%, 90%, he's not 100%.
This is a must-win game. It's a must-win game.
It's his right ankle, right? So that's his plant foot. If I'm correct,
I think it is his right.
Yeah. So. I mean, you're right. It is something to think about. The podcast I listen to, they're saying that it's not just the ankle. It's like it involves the heel as well, this case. And what I hated was the TV coverage. They're like, oh, look at Jalen Hurts hobbling around on the sideline. Then the camera pans to him, and he's just standing there watching the game. I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's the starting quarterback, and he's out. But you're talking about something, one, that's not happening right now. Can you please get me back to the game so I can see what's actually happening? Like, I hate the manufactured crap that they do like that.
The manufactured drama.
Like you remember the one Steelers game when they were talking about when Najee Harris got to Alabama, he kept sleeping on the floor because he never had a bed, and then he tweeted out, he's like, "No, dude, I slept in the bed." You know what I mean? Like, don't you guys know what I'm talking about? Like,
yeah, or Raiders games with Darren Waller.
Yeah, every time it's like we get it. Show the game, please. Sorry, just a little rant that I had because I hate.
No, but you're right, and I think that kind of talks to the idea of just sports media in general. We just had Rob on. Rob is not the kind of guy who is the shock jock. He told it like it was. But if you look at, the fact that Gardner Minshew started the game before the bye week, we all said this. It is going to be a living hell these next 2 weeks. A living hell.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's a living hell if you happen to listen to the trash radio stations that like to play a bunch of nonsense. There's certain people on there that are pretty good, but there's a lot that are not very good and just want clicks. And there's a lot of people in here that just want to fill everything with clicks. So, for me, it's just, Jalen Hurts, it's his job. And it's going to be his job. And these last 4 weeks are going to be huge because you're in position for playoffs. So for me, it's just looking to kind of see how he can overcome the Giants game, because that was a tough game on him. He struggled mightily to come back. Mm-hmm. He's injured, come off of the injury, coming back against a team that has won, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 straight. They maybe more. No. I think 4 straight they've won, the Washington football team. Now they're playing Dallas this week, but let's see what's going to happen, because so far this season, I kind of want to get each of your guys. We asked a surprise for Rob, Monty, and disappointment. We'll get each of our surprise and disappointments, but overall this season through 13 weeks, I had the Eagles at, I think, 10-7. I had them this year. So I'm a little under that right now. It still could possibly happen, but I did say anywhere between 7 and 10 wins should be expected. And I think right now they're kind of somewhat on par with that. But my biggest thing was seeing what Nick Sirianni is doing and what he's doing with this offense. And I feel like that's something to really, because if you look at the rest of the rookie head coaches or the rest of the new head coach hires that are in this league right now, Arthur Smith, Robert Saleh, Brandon Staley, you have all these guys who are rookie head coaches. Nick Sirianni's up there, either number 1 or number 2. In my opinion.
Rookies?
Of the new head coaches.
I would agree with that.
I would agree. And he had a lot of the tools. He had a lot of the tools already. So he wasn't coming in with, look, Jalen Hurts, while not officially a rookie quarterback, had a little bit of experience. He'd been exposed to an offense. He kind of was in professional offenses before. I think he was in the best position as far as quarterback goes. But he had some pieces already. He had the stud running back. He had the high wide receiver draft pick. He had a solid offensive line already. There was a lot of things already in place for Nick Sirianni to be successful. He kind of just had to go in and dial the right buttons up. And I think he's done that. I had this team at 7-10 on the season so far. And so far, the only ones I've gotten wrong is I thought that the Raiders would be a win, and I thought New Orleans would be a loss. Everything else, my picks were right. I had photo proof.
Oh, my God.
Look at the second half. I figured by the second half is where we would drop off.
Loss, win, loss, loss.
Well, we were wrong. They flipped the script there, but just logging on ESPN here, clicking on the Eagles, they have signed LaRaven Clark to a contract through 2022 and waived cornerback Mac McCain. So
again,
I think a lot of that is with LaRaven Clark. I think a lot of teams are trying to sign him off the practice squad. So
each week,
because that's why they protected him a lot of the time as well. So no one poached him off, because he's a veteran tackle who can play both left and right. So for me, he's back up.
And we're also at a point in where teams are putting their playoffs teams together, and your guys are starting to get hurt. So go ahead, John. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Can he play guard? Just out of curiosity.
I'm not sure. I'm sure he probably could, but I know he's more of
backup center,
more of a swing tackle. Yeah, well, the thing about it is now is they did that kind of switcheroo. Now we don't have to. We don't have 27 cornerbacks in the room, since they only play 3 cornerbacks at a time. They don't play any more than that. But I'm gonna give someone I'm surprised and my disappointment. We'll start with all the surprises. My surprise, I'm gonna go with Marcus Epps. I know I've talked about him a couple times, but he does what he's asked. He makes plays, and you can see he's elevated over, draft pick of last year, Kayvon Wallace. Kayvon Wallace is not seeing defensive snaps. The last couple of weeks, he's gotten 0, just special team snaps. And Marcus Epps is steadily, to me, honestly, I think Marcus Epps is the best safety. I think he's better. He's playing a lot better than Rodney McLeod and Anthony Harris. So, and that's just my opinion on it. But he struggled when he first came here, and he's gotten progressively better. He is a durable safety, and he's really good in the run game. He comes up and he'll hit you, and he's not the biggest guy, but he plays sound football, and it's something that we want to see on the defensive side of the ball. And he's not a Pro Bowler, he's not an All-Pro, but he does his job. He does what he's asked, and I think he's really stepped up.
He fills his role absolutely.
And he fills it pretty good. So,
is that your and Kayvon Wallace is your disappointment?
No, Kayvon Wallace isn't my disappointment. I just said he jumped him. I guess you could say my disappointment in all, I don't want to bring him up. I guess I will. All right. So my disappointment is going to be a little bit on Miles Sanders just because of the injuries. I think that's the biggest.
I think that's fair.
Every good game, like last week, he got hurt, and weeks before, it's just like you want him to stay healthy because he's got so much talent, and then he gets hurt, and it's just like almost like drains you a little bit, thinking, man, it's just he's right there, and yet he gets an ankle injury or something. It just puts him out a week or two. Something
that pulls him off the field.
Yeah. So, and that's the story of his Eagles career right now. Whether it's hamstrings, whether it's been nonstop with him, unfortunately.
Mike, who's your biggest surprise and your biggest disappointment this season?
So my biggest surprise is actually TJ Edwards.
Yeah, good one.
If you guys know me, I've been a fan of TJ Edwards for a long time. I didn't think the defense would get that much better with him in there. I figured it would be an upgrade. Eric Wilson, I had high expectations for. I
think we all did.
Who has not played a snap? He has not played a snap, I don't think, with Houston. And
what does that say? And they just released a linebacker today, so that could change possibly this week. But I had high hopes for him. I had high hopes for Singleton. It just didn't work out, and they put TJ Edwards in. And I'll tell you what, for a guy who we're constantly told isn't athletic and can't cover and can't do this, can't do that, he's doing pretty damn good. My disappointment, though, and I hate to go back to this, Jalen Reagor. Mm-hmm. I just hoped at this point in his second NFL season he had worked with Jalen Hurts before. I think he actually played more with Jalen Hurts than he did with Carson Wentz last year because Reagor was hurt for most of the right. So he
was hurt a lot in the beginning there.
He should have already had that rapport coming in. You know what I mean? I just expected at least some sort of competence from him, and we're not seeing it. And maybe a Nelson Aguilar style benching would be in order for Jalen Reagor. Maybe the spotlight's too big in Philadelphia for him. I don't know. But when Quez Watkins, who's a 6th-round draft pick, who, again, I love Quez Watkins, when a 6th-round draft pick is taking you off the field, there's concerns there.
But Jalen Reagor got drafted too high, so if we're basing it just off draft picks, I mean, is it? We talk about this all the time. Is it really Jalen Reagor's fault that Howie valued him much higher than he should have? Is it really J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's fault that he was valued too high?
It's not. And you know what? Okay, the biggest disappointment of my lifetime is Harry Roseman. Can we just say that?
Of his lifetime. I said it this season, and you just went straight dark emo there.
I'm going for the gusto.
Makes sense.
So, my biggest disappointment, I'm going to go disappointment first. My biggest disappointment is it's also, you know what? No, it's Dallas Goedert. While he had a good game against the Jets, he has not done enough that made trading Zach Ertz, to me, a reasonable decision. Okay. He had not unseated Zach Ertz. And when you get rid of one of the most popular tight ends in football in Philadelphia Eagles history, you better do something to replace it. And I just feel like he hasn't. I feel like he hasn't been enough of a safety valve for Jalen Hurts to develop his passing game. A lot of the Eagles, historically, quarterbacks have gotten really good because of the safety net of a tight end. And Dallas Goedert does not provide that to Jalen Hurts. Whether it's the scheme, whether it's the play calling, whether it's the reads, Dallas Goedert is not doing enough to help a young, developing quarterback out. So my biggest disappointment is Dallas Goedert.
I think you, and I'm going to keep getting on you for the Dallas Goedert comment, because I think he is a tight end one. And to me, a lot of the people looking at the box score isn't going to tell you the whole story. Because
I think he's a tight end one. I don't think he's a top tier tight end. There's a difference.
That's fair.
He can block with the top tier tight ends. I watched him on Sunday. Watching
JJ Arcega-Whiteside can block. He is a top tier blocking wide receiver. Doesn't mean he's a good wide receiver.
Chip, can I bounce a question off of you?
Love it.
In regards to that, what we saw on Sunday, Gardner looked like he used a little bit more of the short screen intermediate game than Jalen Hurts has been. So could we say that maybe Dallas Goedert's slow start was a combination of Zach snaps away from him, Jalen not seeing him because maybe he would run instead of looking to dump it off? Do you think that could be a possibility of his, the slow start that he had?
100%. But remember, it also comes with, working in practice and working with and feeling that comfort level. Jalen Hurts, through the first 13 weeks of the season, did not feel comfortable with Dallas Goedert, the receiver. So his first instinct in that split second was to take off and run, was to force throws into Devontae Smith. Whereas Gardner Minshew goes, you know what? My tight end's got a job to do. I'm going to throw it to my tight end. And then Dallas Goedert caught the ball against a Jets team that all season has struggled against tight ends. The only team that has struggled against tight ends worse has got to be the Philadelphia Eagles.
So, Chip, what do you think like his target share is here? Dallas's. Like, what do you think
for the entire season?
No, like, what do you think his high and low targets would be in a game? Because, I mean, the targets were there. The catches weren't there at first. I mean, he had a 7-target game against Detroit. He had 6 against the Chargers, 8 targets against the Saints. So he was getting the targets, but
how many times? But that's kind of my point. He had how many against the Saints?
He had 8 with 5 catches for 62 yards. He's only broken 100.
And that was one. And that was one of the games where we committed to the run game, right?
It was, yeah.
Well, they committed a lot to the run game the last.
So give me a game where Jalen. So the Giants game, Jalen Hurts threw the ball how many times?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I think it was like.
I think it was in the 40 range, 35, 40.
No, I think he only completed like 14 passes.
I think it was. I thought he only threw it 30 times or 31 times.
Okay, how many targets did Goddard have that night?
3.
One catch.
That's a problem.
0 yards.
That's a problem. In a game where you are throwing 3 interceptions and forcing the ball into your star wide receiver who cannot get open, and you've now thrown, like I said, 3 interceptions, you have got to just build completions up. And Goddard should have had 10 to 12 targets, 9 catches that night alone. There is no trust for Dallas Goedert. And whether that's from the practice room, whether that's because there was no separation, whether that's the just building relationship, Dallas Goedert isn't doing enough. Maybe in the meetings, he needs to say, look, I'm open here, I'm open here, I'm open here. And then there's got to be the confidence build. But Dallas Goedert has not done enough to be considered a top tier. Yes, he's the tight end one. He is the best tight end in the Philadelphia Eagles room. Just like Cole Hamels is the ace of the Phillies. Not Cole Hamels. Aaron Nola is the ace of the Phillies. He's just the first pitcher that they send out. He's not an ace.
Well, that's good. That's kind of debunked with Zach Wheeler, but that's for another show.
It's for my show. That's what I'm saying. I did a whole show about it. But again, my biggest disappointment is Dallas Goedert because he has not been an integral part of this team when in reality, everything given to him says he should have been.
Who's your surprise? Did you give your surprise?
I did not get my surprise yet because this is going to hurt my feelings.
JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
It is not JJ Arcega-Whiteside, who is 2 for 2 in his targets. My surprise is somebody that 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I blew veins and arteries about being a member of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I know who it is. A running back at Indiana.
My surprise is Jordan Mother effing Howard. And I'm going to sit here and eat all the crow because I was flat out wrong. the way that they have utilized Jordan Howard, and you can see the difference of games when he was on the field versus games that he was not. The trust in the run game for games when he was on the field and when he was not. I have never in my life could have imagined a day when I was disappointed that Jordan Howard was not suiting up for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've come full circle. So
you know what it is? Because I'm not pushing my own agenda. I look at this team with passion, but objectivity. I realize that while
it's better because you're not trying to fill people's ears with nonsense.
Well, exactly. And the point of it all is, Johnny U, if they had used him as the previous regime had used him, and if they had used him as they were planning on using him in the first couple weeks of the season, you know, it stifles what he brings to the team. When they started utilizing him in the run game, it changes everything.
Yeah. No, you're right. When they started using him, look at 2019, right? The Green Bay and the Buffalo games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
In those games.
So, yeah.
You know, here's what I understand too. Why do these other teams not want Jordan Howard? Jordan Howard is a good NFL running back.
Yeah.
He's powerful. He hits the hold hard. Great vision. One cut, bam, and he's gonna knock somebody on their ass. And that's why
he played for Chicago and got a lot of wear and tear and mileage when he was there. He came here. He had a good season. He went to Miami and played horrible.
Well, he was overweight.
That was Chan Gailey. There was reports out that
Absolutely.
Chan Gailey never wanted him. It's like that. First of all,
Why is Chan Gailey still even in the league?
Okay, they brought him out of retirement. Brian Flores did. And this is the stuff I hate. You can't tell me that Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins could not have found a Nick Sirianni or somebody of that ilk or a positional coach like a Shane Steichen that would like to be an offensive coordinator, you know, a younger mind with fresh ideas. Instead, we keep recycling Chan Gailey. Norv Turner is probably out there coordinating something somewhere. You know what I mean? It's just get some new ideas in there, some new blood. I'm so glad that the Eagles do not recycle these old head coaches. Like, remember when they wanted, everyone's like, oh, we got to get Cowher out of retirement, or let's get this, or let's get Mike McCarthy, or this guy. Like, no,
McCarthy has been a waste.
Exactly. You're telling me that team shouldn't be a lot better with a different. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are loaded, but that was Chan Gailey not using Jordan Howard right. I think at one point in time he had like 3 carries for 4 yards and 3 touchdowns last year.
He finished with 35 carries and 4 touchdowns last year.
The last job that Norv Turner had in the NFL was in 2019 as Carolina Panthers special assistant to the head coach. Norv Turner's career win record is 114, 122, and 1.
His son, I think, is the offensive coordinator of the Washington football team, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
So, remember, Carolina Panthers, Ron Rivera, the connections.
Offensive coordinator for the Washington football team. Yes, sir.
Joe Brady got fired on Sunday, too.
Joe Brady gets fired. Dable looked terrible.
Yeah, that offense does not look right.
No, it does not. They have no consistent run game. And then these reports come out about Joe Brady where Matt Rule said, I wanted him to run the ball more. Dude, you're starting
with who?
Hurt.
With who?
That's what I'm saying. Like Chuba Hubbard, I liked him at Oklahoma State. He's a 4th-round pick. Who else is there? Royce Freeman.
Their offensive line isn't very good as well. So there's a lot of factors in that.
And then
I think that they made Joe Brady the fall guy for things that were out of his control.
For sure. You bench PJ Walker for Cam Newton, and Cam Newton comes in, stinks it up, then you bring PJ Walker back in. Like, what are you guys doing? Let's fire Joe Brady. And you know what, Johnny? I think you're right. I think Matt Rule is back in college sooner rather than later.
You can definitely say it.
I really do think that.
Money being thrown around there, but
yeah.
So looking ahead, right? We know how we all feel. Real quick, simple yes or no, and maybe a quick explanation. Does this Philadelphia Eagles team make the playoffs this season?
Oh, wow, you're throwing this question on us.
I have to, because that's the only thing that matters in Philadelphia. We all sat here, months ago and said, well, it's a developmental year and, we're not expecting anything. And here we are sitting, and no team in football, not even the NFC, no team in football has solidified themselves as a lights-out contender. Every team has flaws. This is probably one of the most even-keeled based NFL seasons I have seen in recent memory. The Eagles are right in the middle of that pack. Do the Philadelphia Eagles make the playoffs? I'm not asking about winning playoff games or Super Bowl runs. We're not. Do they make the playoffs this season?
Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you.
Yeah, since your eyes rolled into the back of your skull, I think Mike should answer first.
Of course, you'll let me go first. Thank you. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm saying no is because these are all division games. We saw how fluky division games can be against the Giants game. Fluky right there. That's why I'm saying no. So I think if we would have won that Giants game, I would confidently be sitting here saying yes.
Yeah.
But that one hurt.
Johnny.
This one's tough because, like Mike said, that Giants game, I feel like it's going to come to, in my feeling on it, it's going to come down to a tiebreaker, and the Eagles aren't going to have the tiebreaker because, one, they lost San Francisco. They're right there. Plus Minnesota. What does Minnesota do to end the year? If those two teams are in there, I think they may have the tiebreaker of the Eagles. I think the Eagles may just missed out. So I'm going to say no. And I'm Mr. Optimistic, but unfortunately, I want to see him make the playoffs. Of course, we all do. But right now, I'm going to say no. I think they have a tough stretch because I don't think Dallas rests their starters, in my opinion. I think they're got something to play for.
I think that because there's only one bye week, Dallas is going to be in the running for it because Arizona hasn't pushed past them.
They play Arizona before the Eagles, so that's going to be a big telltale sign.
That's what I'm saying. So for me, while, yes, that loss to the Giants hurt severely, and the 49ers, they're in the playoff push. I mean, there are some really bad losses to the wild card related teams. I don't think you lose to the Giants again, who are, having their own offensive struggles because, I mean, look, I don't think Daniel Jones is very good, but it doesn't get better with what they've got in the room. Jake from State Farm is not the answer. I think they beat the Giants. I think they win against Washington once.
So they go 1-1 versus Washington.
Ding, ding, ding. I don't know what that was, but
that was it said threat secured and popped something up, which I didn't open any different web pages or anything. So I don't know why.
So while Mike is looking at pornography during our show,
not doing that.
Again, I think that it's going to come down to the Dallas game, and I do think that the Philadelphia Eagles will squeak into the playoffs.
Ooh, so Chip is the optimistic one here. Not Johnny.
Squeak.
Okay, can I just bounce something off of you?
Sure.
Would you rather, and you guys can both answer
I don't
this.
like that bounce something off you because I get the wrong image.
Would you rather?
Would you rather the Eagles make the playoffs and lose or miss the playoffs?
So I'm going to take this one first because last season we sat here and I've said flat, I said I don't want to make the playoffs this season because it was the someone has to win the NFC East conversation. And that to me wasn't the Eagles didn't deserve to be in the playoffs last season. And we spent way too much time talking about, well, the Eagles could get in with 6 wins. And if this happens, no 4-win football team should be in the conversation to be a playoff team. This is not that team. It's a different head coach. It's a different quarterback. These guys are going to be here for a while. They got to start getting the playoff experience. And if they get in at this point, it's because they've earned it because all these teams are so close together. I want them in the playoffs, and I would rather, sure, if they lose, they lose. But again, they got to get to the dance.
You feel the same way, Johnny?
Any time they get in the playoffs, I'm happy. I understand getting to pay us and lose, but get the experience. If they're in the playoffs, to me, it's fun. I love playoff football.
Anything can happen. Taylor Heineke almost won a game last year.
Anything is possible, especially this year. Absolutely anything is possible, depending on the matchups. And it's all about matchups. And I feel that you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. Now, if they lose, that would suck. But again, I like the playoff experience. And it'd be fun. It'd be fun. Let me just put it that way. It'll be fun.
Mikhail?
I guess it depends on the matchup. You know what I mean? Like I don't want them to go to Green Bay and get shellacked or anything like that. But I can't say no to the playoffs if you could take it. I mean, there's that different feel to playoff football. You know what I mean? Like it's special.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about you guys too, but I love division games more than any other games. I specifically like when they play the Giants and Washington. I actually hate when we play the Cowboys
It's a bit obnoxious.
because I hate the Cowboys and I hate Cowboys fans, to be honest with you. And I especially hate all the Cowboys fans that live around us. So, but
I
yeah,
think that's fair.
I'll take it. And I'll take the experience. You know what I mean? I just don't. The worst thing that I think could happen if, for some reason, we get into a playoff game and let's say Jalen struggles, and they would, let's just say, this is all hypothetical. They put Gardner in and come within
Oh, God.
a little bit of winning. Then you have that whole off season.
It's Nick Foles 2.0.
If you think this 2-week period is bad, then you have to do that for 3 months until the draft.
If Jalen for some reason gets hurt and cannot get them into the playoffs, like if he doesn't come back from this high ankle sprain, I do not want this team to go to the playoffs. Only because I can't deal with an offseason of Gardner versus Jalen.
Somebody breaking into your house.
No, my kid's letting the dogs out.
I just saw the door open. But no, the other
He's
thing
crawling back below. He doesn't want to be in the frame.
That's okay. You should let him be on.
I would love him to be on as he runs away.
The thing that Rob said that I thought was really interesting from from an AFC executive talking about Eagles could possibly trade pick to get 2023. That's something I definitely can see. If a team wants to come up, I could definitely see them doing something like that.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it depends. I feel like Howie really wants to nail this draft. But if he trades any one of the three, it'll be the latest first round pick. I feel like he would deal that one. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Anything could happen.
We'll see. And speaking of anything can happen,
it's time for the Locks of the week. Who's your lock?
All right. So, Johnny, first off, recap the locks and please let us know who wins the Call a Locksmith Award of the week.
So, your lock was the Cardinals winning by 17 or more points against the Bears. They won by 11 points. Not too far off, but
not locksmith worthy.
Yes. I had Denver getting 2 interceptions and 4 sacks. They got 1 interception and 1 sack against Patrick Mahomes. But I think the one who takes the cake is what we talked about on Sunday. Mike's lock that fell short on Thursday, which were the Saints winning over the Dallas Cowboys, which he says he doesn't realize he picked. But
I'm old. You guys are going to have to cut me some slack here. Come
on.
We'll call you a locksmith. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to go say is it's going to be Mike is going to get that one.
So Mike is calling a locksmith. Besides that, we all had some picks last week. So we'll go over the picks. Actually, tell you what. Let's do our Are You Like a Locks first. So I think we have to let Mike go first, right?
I think Mike goes first.
All right, Michael. What you doing this week?
I'm going to stick with a Thursday game. How's that sound?
Cool. Early on. those weekend rates are a bitch.
I am going to say that the Minnesota Vikings, without Adam Thielen and likely without Dalvin Cook, cannot withstand the Steelers coming to whatever their dome is called out there, the U.S. Bank Stadium. Oh, that's an ugly stadium name. But they can't take it, and the Steelers win on the road. You know what? I'm sorry. Like, we had Veteran Stadium. We remember, we used to have cool stadium names. Now everything is some sort of financial institution. It's just that doesn't work for me. And in my opinion, there should be no domes in football. Football should be outdoors. I don't care if you're in Minnesota or Indianapolis or Houston or wherever. Football is meant to be played outdoors.
And grass.
Yeah.
I understand the grass is hard to hold up, like in Chicago in December and Philadelphia.
And Washington, because Washington's cheap and they have shit coming out of the pipes in the press
They
boxes.
do. There's literally shit pouring out of the ceiling.
Can I ask a question before we move on? in the year 2021, where we have all this technology to make turf that withstands a season, why are so many players complaining about the MetLife turf? Like, why is this a thing?
I did hear something that I know, like domes and stuff, it's a lot warmer in there, so it's it's not cold. But like in MetLife, because I know Brandon Graham talked about it, there's absolutely no give. It's like with grass and stuff, there's a little give, and with artificial turf inside, you have a little bit of give. But the MetLife turf is different. There's like no give when you try and plant. It's
Right.
like solid. So
Hmm.
and you get a lot of ankle injuries, Achilles, knees. You get a lot of issues because look at last year with the 49ers. They had 3 or 4 guys, major, defensive contributors, go down with major injuries because of that field. And I know Saquon got hurt a couple times on that field. It is his home stadium, so. But the MetLife turf, I know there's been a lot that they've been complaining about just because it's different. Because I think they changed it a couple of years ago, to that new artificial turf. Because I think it was something else before that.
Yeah, well, they got to get rid of that. You know what I mean? I mean, you got.
It's going to cost them Saquon Barkley is what it's going to start with.
Yeah, you got 2
First
teams.
chance Saquon Barkley gets to get out of that stadium, he will.
Oh my God, he's gone. He's gone.
Exactly. Chip, what's your lock of the week?
So none of these games are really speaking to me on like a mental metaphysical plane, man. I don't know. It's the bye week. Like can I say that it's a lock that the Eagles will not play this week, but yet somehow still be in the media?
We know
No, because that's already going to happen. So
I know. All right, so I'll go with specific statistical thing. I'm going to look at this Chargers-Giants game. I don't know.
are you
What the
fromming
hell?
out the Are you fromming out the mouth?
I am fromming at the mouth.
Ew.
And I am going to lock that even though he has not played football at a professional level in quite a little bit of time, they're going to force Jake Fromm to throw the ball way too many times, and he's going to have 3 interceptions and a loss to the Chargers.
I could see that happening. The Chargers, they could also be without Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But I got to be honest with you, Chip, I don't hate that. I don't think they're going to have to do too much to beat the Giants on their third string quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. And they're not going to use Saquon Barkley correctly. They don't have other have guys like Evan Ingram and Kenny. I mean, they have guys, so they're going to try and utilize those weapons. I just don't know if Jake Fromm has the ability to read a defense at that level of speed. And the Chargers are a really good football team.
Yeah, they are. Fromm was a guy that I thought should have went back for his senior year at Georgia, and he did.
Yeah.
And I think he was a day 3 pick, like a 6th-round pick of Buffalo last year. I remember scouting him, and he was so boring to watch. I was like, this guy sucks. Like I was watching Kennedy Brooks, who's a running back for Oklahoma, is probably the most running back I've ever scouted in my entire life. He's just blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Georgia has a quarterback like that, Stetson Bennett the 4th. Sounds like
Sounds like it's from Mr. Belvedere.
Yeah, exactly.
So 3 picks and a loss.
Okay,
like
that is a good one. I'm gonna go. The game I'm gonna go. I was going back and forth between 2 different games, but I'm gonna go to the 49ers Bengals game, and I'm gonna say the Bengals are gonna win, and I think they're gonna win by at least 2 touchdowns.
Ooh. You're going to take that even with Joe Burrow having that finger injury? You're still confident in that?
I'm still confident in that.
Do you guys think the 49ers are slightly overrated?
I think they're
I
very
do.
overrated.
And as they continue to have their injuries pile up, you're going to see Jimmy Garoppolo exposed more and more.
Emmanuel Mosley's hurt, which is probably their
That's
best
what I'm
player.
saying. Mosley hurt, Debo Samuel's still hurt. And now they have to rely on Brandon Ayuk. They can shut down Kittle. I mean, you're relying on Jimmy Garoppolo to win you football games, and I don't think that's a recipe made for success.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I don't disagree at all with that.
And with that, talking about our picks, we don't have any Eagles games to pick this week, but we're going to go through our predictions, go through the current records, and then we'll wrap it on up. So currently sitting in 4th place is Johnny U. He has 118 wins and 76 losses. He was 8-6 last week. Who'd you put your faith in that let you down?
Who would I put my faith in that let me down?
Yeah, who was your big, like, this was going to be a win, and it didn't happen?
6 teams, but if I had to pick, if I had to pick just one, let me pop into this spreadsheet and let me take a look at the massive misses that I had. I'm gonna say the one that really let me down is I'm gonna go with the damn Vikings losing.
All right, well, that's to be fair.
line.
I think that was everybody.
Okay, so if I got to pick another one, which
No, that's fine. No one predicted the Lions winning.
How about the Raiders?
I picked Washington.
I actually did pick the Lions winning last week. I made a bet on FanDuel.
It was you like a lock, right?
No. You could do the you could pick who a team will have their first win against, and I put a couple bucks on the Lions beating the Vikings, so I won $8. I made a $2 bet. Whatever. I figured why not.
I like it. Jeff is currently, and it's a tight competition. Jeff is currently sitting in 3rd place with 120 and 74. He was 9-5 last week. I am in 2nd, just 1 game ahead of Jeff at 121 and 73, 10-4 last week. And Jeremy Bridges is 1 game ahead of me, 122 and 72, 10-4 last week. So, gentlemen, anything else we got to discuss before we give it a wrap, Christmas present style?
I don't think so. Hopefully, some.
Michael, how about you, buddy?
No, I'm good.
Good week of football. Some teams lose that we want to see lose, and hey, maybe make it all better.
I'm excited for a stress-free Sunday.
Yeah, me too. Who do we cheer for in the Cowboys? I almost said R word. Who do we cheer for in the Dallas-Washington game? I was told that it's actually better for the Eagles if we cheer for the Cowboys. But what do you cheer for? Like a tie and everybody gets hurt, or what do you?
I'm cheering for Bane to come in and blow the stadium up.
Hey,
I'm cheering for a tie. Screw it.
My opinion, one team's going to lose, and the Eagles play Washington. So whatever Washington does, if you beat them the next week, it is what it is. One of the teams, let them just beat up on each other, and one team's going to lose, one team's going to win.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. So, all right, real quick, let's talk about the wonderful sponsors we have here on the All About the Birds weekly Wednesday report on the AAT Sports Network. So, of course, we start with Statement Games, a fun free twist on fantasy sports. Make sure you're checking out the link in the bio. We have the AATSportsNetwork.com/shop with all of our great designs. We have Symbol, the stock market for sports, symbol.com. Use the promo code AAT Sports when you sign up. La Terrain Luxury Watches. Use the code AATBirds at checkout for 10% off. Our brewery, of course, is funkbrewing.com. Make sure you are checking them out. And our very favorite to say and utilize is manscaped.com, partner with AAT Birds. Use the code AATBirds for 20% off and free shipping at checkout.
Your balls will thank you.
Gentlemen, it's been real. It's been fun, but I don't know if it's been real fun. Shout out to Rob Maaddi, our wonderful guest this fine evening. Make sure you are listening back, checking out all the great things he had to say. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, and sharing. We're trying to build up the YouTube page. We're trying to build up the Facebook page. Obviously, Twitter. It'd be great if comments would work, but since they don't, away we go. And gentlemen, as we end every show here on the All About the Birds weekly report and the AAT Sports Network, we end it with a very positive and happy
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. The season of giving is upon us, and Manscaped is getting into the holiday spirit. Go to manscaped.com and use the code AATBirds for 20% off and free shipping on all your holiday gifties. To help get you into the spirit, we rewrote some of your favorite holiday songs to remind you of all their great products. Shave your balls with gifts from Manscaped. Fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be smoother. Fa la 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 la. Buy some gifts today from Manscaped.com. 2 free gifts for you from Manscaped.com. Grooming around your Christmas tree with the Lawnmower 4.0. Your jingle balls need some fresh grooming, and it's the only way to go. Smoother balls. Smoother balls. Use Manscaped Crop Exfoliator. Grandpa needs to trim his ears and nose hairs, 'cause he can't hear or smell us anymore. You can say he could just use a razor, but the Weed Whacker 2 is the way to go. For the Jewish friends in your life, Manscaped, 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 shave your balls today, and when they're dry and ready, a smooth menorah you can play. I got Manscaped's brand new body wash. Used it on my mistletoe last night. Also used the 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner just for fun. I washed and scrubbed everywhere, now the smell's improved a ton. Put in your order at manscaped.com today and have a great gift to give this holiday season. Use the code AATBirds at checkout for 20% and free shipping. That's AATBirds at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Have a holly jolly ball a day this winter with Manscaped.